Hello, everyone, and welcome to this time together that we call Devotionals with Chaplain Dan. I'm Dan Bonner, and I'm always honored on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 10 a.m. to share a few minutes of your time via Channel 18. Residents of the assisted living, the skilled nursing, Wesleyan skilled nursing and rehab, or the independent living, we all who are privileged to live here and choose to live here, we all have access to this. And if staff people or where they might hear, then we certainly are grateful to you, staff, teammates, as we say. I'd like to share something that surprised me a little, but opened my eyes, and they should have been opened about this. A resident of one of our communities, I won't name which, stopped me the other day in the dining room and said, Dan, we really, actually the person said Dr. Bonner, but I corrected her quickly and said, when I retired from everything except part-time chaplaincy in the ministry, I got my first name back. And she smiled, but she went on to say, well, then Dan, let me say Dr. Bonner. I said, you say what you want to say. And I'll say that to anybody in this community. You called me, whatever you want. I prefer Chaplain Dan. But that's irrelevant, really, to this message. She said, I like your devotionals. I'm helped by them so much. May I make a suggestion? I said, well, sure. She said, well, you bring the message of Jesus and the gospel writers and the New Testament and some of the Old Testament too. You bring it to light, especially about the themes of what to do with struggles or challenges or down times. But I'd like to encourage you, bring us a message every so often when we're feeling okay in the day. Most of our days here, at least she said most of my days, I feel good. I have a rosy outlook, and I use my day as best I can to remain in the Word of God and quietly in my room reflect every day on the blessings God gives me. I said, my sister, what a gift that is that you would share that. I'm so glad you do that. She said, but I want you to consider one thing. Sometimes I feel called of God to get out and do something good with God's people. Always I've practiced that, she said, back in my home church, and we need more opportunities like the Benevolent Fund here, but things we might actually do to help people. I said, oh my goodness, as Christians, helping people. Well, I certainly believe in that. I've tried to practice that, and I appreciate your counsel. You just opened my eyes to some of the things I need to hear in constructing these devotional times? Well, I took her message to heart, and today I want to share with you a passage that is written not by Jesus, but by one of his disciples and people who spread the word after Jesus' death and resurrection. Not Peter, James, and John. We know about their great contributions. Well, actually, this does come from James, one of the disciples, and he helped form churches among the Gentiles in the northern area, north of Judea, in what we might know today as Greece, according to church historians. But James also wrote a powerful little letter in the latter part of the New Testament, the Christian scriptures. And I'd like to turn to the first chapter of the book of James to give you some insight about how Christians from the very beginning of the movement have been called to do more. Well, let me read this, not get ahead of myself. James is a book you may be very familiar with, but because of its length and placement near the end of the New Testament, it might be something that you would find interesting and helpful to read. But the first chapter of James, the 22nd through the 25th verses, are what I'd like to read today. Be doers of the word of God, and not hearers only. That's the 25th verse of the first chapter. And that is an incredible admonition to all of us Christians, reminder to most of us that we cannot simply be concerned about our own personal relationship with God and with our own personal time of reflection and study on a regular daily basis, as important as that is, but we must be doers of the word, James says, and not hearers only. Deceiving yourselves. Now, that's pretty strong language, but James, in his brief epistle, does not mince many words. Do not deceive yourselves by simply focusing on your personal faith. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man or woman who observes their natural face in a mirror. All of us have mirrors in our Wesleyan living quarters, don't we? You may realize what James is saying. Gazing maybe too long in the mirror at ourselves. But if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he's like one who is observing his natural face in the mirror. For he observes herself. I'm mixing genders here intentionally. He observes herself and goes away and at once forgets what he or she was like. It's like the one who observes yourself but then forgets. If we who look into the perfect law, that is what he's referring to is the law of love of Jesus, have no other God before me, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's the law of love for James. The law no hearer that forgets, but is a doer who acts. We shall be blessed in our doing. James says it. You may have noticed I'm sitting in front of, at the entrance to Sue's and my cottage. At the entrance little hall, a series of 3 black and white drawings. I think they're what artists might call pen and ink drawings, done by an obscure artist from New England back in the early 1970s. A friend gave these to me when I was in seminary. I want to focus today on the center one. I hope you can see it. It's Jesus. I'm going to just move the camera a second and get it a little closer. There. It's Jesus in the bread line. Jesus with the halo, the glow of the Spirit around him. In a bread line with people in need. I'm not doing a very good job of camera work. Can you see that? People in a bread line with the Master. And that leads me to say what the woman in the dining room was encouraging me to say to you. We have an extraordinary opportunity. Well, really, we have an extraordinary responsibility as Christians, not to be simply people who hear and absorb it for ourselves, the Word of God, but to be also people who take our hands, our tongues, our feet, our money, and our time, and show others near, others we go to, others in need, others in want, others in some kind of crisis, natural disaster, or natural or emotional, others. Even Jesus said, remember, love your enemies as much as yourself. Go to someone you really disagree with and share with them that you want to listen and learn from them. And you may not agree, but you care. And build a bridge to that. That may be a way to show the love of God to others. You determine what it is, but my sisters and brothers, join me in a dedication to not just be, as James says, hearers of the Word or readers of the Word of God, but also those who do the Word of God. Please, please, my sisters and brothers, receive that with the encouragement that Chaplain Dan wants very much to give us. The Wesleyan, through its benevolent fund, through so many other ways, is an extraordinary, caring institution for others. There may be ways we as individuals can do that better. I pray that encourages you. Thank you for letting me share with you. Thank you for the lady who stopped to share with me, the resident. Thank you to the artist who depicts the Jesus who is with the poor, not just with himself. This is Chaplain Dan. I look forward to being with you next time on these devotionals with Chaplain Dan. Have a blessed day, and may we be doers of the word and not hearers only. God bless.